Welcome to Gas Ed. Today, we will be discussing an open source agent setup that combines the Hermes agent with DeepSeek. Now, what we're really looking at here is the complete blueprint for building a tireless 24/7 automated workforce. If you're running a business, you already know execution is the ultimate bottleneck when you're trying to scale, right? But by pairing a persistent AI agent with some incredibly cost-effective language models, we are literally entering an era where you can spin up an autonomous corporate team that just grinds through heavy tasks while you're fast asleep.
So here is our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll unpack the persistent Hermes agent itself. Next up, we'll build out what we call the multi-brain triad system. Then we'll connect the whole thing using Open Router. And finally, we'll dive into a real-world business automation example to tie it all together. Let's get to it.
All right, before we start building, we've got to talk about the massive macroeconomic shift happening right now in software and labor. Look at this comparison. You've got a top-tier frontier model like Opus, right? That runs about $75 per million tokens. But then you have DeepSeek coming in at a staggering 87 cents per million tokens. Cents. This basically means AI labor now costs effectively less than minimum wage. You're getting nearly identical world-class performance for roughly 1% of the cost. So the big question for your business totally shifts. It's no longer how much can I afford to automate. Now it's how many minutes of the day can I keep these systems working for me?
And that brings us straight to the very first core component of our setup, the persistent Hermes agent. Pay attention to that word, persistent. Look, most of us are totally used to standard chat interfaces. You open a window, ask a quick question, close it, and the AI just forgets you even exist. The Hermes agent operates totally differently. It actually lives across your business workflows. It keeps this deep, constantly evolving memory of your specific goals, your operations, and your metrics. Because it's self-evolving, every single task you hand it actually teaches it how to serve your objectives better. It schedules background jobs, operates asynchronously, and really acts as the foundational operating layer for your entirely new automated workforce.
But to truly squeeze every ounce of potential out of this persistent agent, we have to move way beyond just relying on a single AI model. Let's explore the multi-brained triad system. Here's the core workflow of our AI workforce. We're essentially structuring a corporate team of models that loop through three absolutely rigorous stages: plan, execute, and critique. If you just ask a single AI to do a massive, complex job, you know what happens? It usually just agrees with whatever assumptions you have and spits out kind of mediocre work. But this multi-brain loop actively shatters AI echo chambers. It literally forces different models to debate, grind, and refine the work until the final result is 100% shippable and totally battle-tested. The first key member of this triad is the conductor. For this role, you want to use the absolute most intelligent frontier model you can get your hands on, something like Opus. Now, the conductor doesn't do the heavy lifting itself. Instead, it acts as the master strategist. It takes your complex business problem, asks all the necessary clarifying questions, decomposes the entire task into actionable steps, and then writes a highly structured workflow brief. It totally sets the direction for the rest of the team. Next up, we hand that pristine brief over to the worker. This is exactly where DeepSeek enters the equation. Because of its unbelievable cost efficiency, remember, we're talking 87 cents per million tokens, you can absolutely afford to let this worker model churn through massive piles of data, deep research, or heavy coding for hours on end while you literally sleep. It is the absolute deep work workhorse of your entire system. It attacks the problem from a dozen different angles without burning a hole in your budget. Now, here is the absolutely crucial part. You never, ever ship the first draft. We bring in an independent critic model. Think ChatGPT or Gemini here. The critic's entire existence is just to brutally review and validate the worker's output. It ruthlessly tears the work apart. It checks for flaws, missed instructions, logical gaps, you name it. And the work just loops back to the worker until the critic is fully satisfied. Only then does the conductor step back in to validate the final artifact for you. Orchestrating this complex multimodal setup obviously requires a highly streamlined infrastructure. Let's look at how we connect these models via Open Router. Look, setting up the triad could be an absolute nightmare if you had to manage a dozen individual API keys, track your usage across 5 different platforms, and juggle a bunch of billing cycles. Open Router solves that whole mess instantly. It acts as a unified gateway. With just a single dashboard and one API key, it dynamically routes your tasks across the best available AI brains globally. It lets your Hermes agent hot swap between Opus, DeepSeek, and ChatGPT completely seamlessly in the background. It's a total game changer.
And what really elevates OpenRouter for hardcore business automation are the specialized modifiers you can just append to your requests. For instance, you can use Nitra to route your prompt to the absolute fastest provider when speed is everything. Exacto is amazing. It ensures the task is only sent to providers that are rigorously certified for precise tool calling, which is vital if your AI is touching live databases. Auto will dynamically pick the best model for that specific prompt just to save you cash. And zero completion? Oh, it's incredible. It ensures you are never charged for blank or error responses. It literally eliminates wasted costs on failed AI generations.
Now, how do we scale this infinitely? Well, when you have a worker model like DeepSeek grinding on massive overnight tasks, the absolute last thing you want is to hit some platform's rate limit and stall your entire workflow. By utilizing OpenRouter's Bring Your Own Keys feature, you can plug your own direct API access straight into the system. This perfectly bypasses standard platform rate limits, guaranteeing that your new automated labor force never hits a wall. They just keep working. All right, let's bring this out of the theoretical. Let's observe this architecture actually solving a practical, high-value business objective. To test the true intelligence of this tried system, we deploy it to solve a real, highly specific consulting problem. The objective we gave it: analyze the Texas market and identify unsexy, untargeted, but highly lucrative local business niches that are absolutely ripe for purchasing AI and automation services. Now, a human, or even just a single isolated AI model, might lazily suggest the obvious stuff, right? Like pool cleaners or roofers. Let's see what the triad system outputs after running through its rigorous loop. So, the conductor set the strategy, the DeepSeek worker brutally scored the entire market, and the critic tore apart all the weak arguments. The result? The system completely bypassed those obvious answers and identified emergency fire and water restoration services as the absolute optimal target, right alongside foundation repair. It didn't just guess here, it actually processed vast amounts of market data to pinpoint the absolute highest margins. And this completely proves the depth of the triad's reasoning. The critic model validated this specific niche based on rock-solid business logic. Think about it. Emergency restoration leads are incredibly time-sensitive. If a pipe bursts in your house, you go with whoever answers the phone first. That makes AI lead capture incredibly valuable to them. Plus, a single job in that industry ranges from $3,000 all the way up to $50,000. The extreme urgency combined with that massive ticket price makes this the perfect high-margin fit for AI automation services. Honestly, this result proves exactly why you simply cannot rely on just one single AI model for serious business intelligence anymore. By forcing completely distinct models into a rigorous planning, execution, and critique loop, you guarantee objective, battle-tested outputs. The worker model dives deep into the data, while the critic makes absolutely sure the final recommendation actually makes financial sense out in the real world. Ultimately, this entire architecture transforms a simple chat interface into a highly leveraged, relentless corporate team. You are taking the deep, persistent memory of the Hermes agent and combining it with the massive cost advantages of models like DeepSeek. You get the strategic brilliance of a top-tier frontier model, the tireless labor of a cheap worker, and the incredibly sharp eye of a critic. And the best part? It's all running automatically in the background for literally pennies on the dollar. The technology is here. The infrastructure is completely unified, and the cost of digital labor has totally plummeted. So the only question left is how you're going to apply it. What complex problem will your triad system solve tonight? That is all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.